That should have honestly been a red flag right there. I don't really think he thought this whole thing through.
Hey guys, welcome back. If you are new here, hi, my name is Shayna, and in my little corner of the internet, we talk about spooky history of all kinds. If that sounds like something you're interested in, be sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell because I am here for you on Wednesdays. Last week I had a little get ready with me trying to explain why I was gone for 2 weeks. So if you missed it, I'll be sure to link it up here for you. Now today's video is a little morbid and dark. Not gonna lie, but honestly, if something like that bothers you, then what are you even doing here? Just kidding, I'm happy you're here anyways. I'm gonna stop jabbing and let's talk about Carl Tanzler. Now, Carl was born in Dresden, Germany on February 8th of 1877. He reportedly studied weather patterns in Austria in 1910, which is where he stayed until the end of the First World War. When Carl returned home, he ended up getting married in 1920 to a woman named Doris Schaefer, and they had 2 children named Aisha and Clarissa Tanzler, which I think are really pretty names. Never really heard of them before until I started researching this. But unfortunately, Carl was not very happy with his life. He wasn't happy in his marriage and he just wanted more. Doesn't that seem like that's a man problem? Just kidding. Tanzler ended up getting offered a position in Key West, Florida as a radiologic technician at the Marine Hospital under the name Count Carl von Kossel. Why change your name? Kind of interesting. Not long after working for the hospital, he met a very beautiful woman, and her name was Maria Elena Milagro de Hoyos. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm really sorry if I'm not. But she was a very beautiful Cuban-American woman who had this gorgeous dark hair and very lovely features. To Carl, she was the woman of his dreams. He quickly became obsessed with her. Now we're gonna call her Elena because I think that's what she went by back then. Now Elena was born in Key West in 1909 and was the daughter of the cigar maker and homemaker. She was 32 years younger than Carl, but honestly, I don't think Carl cared about her age at all. She was the woman of his dreams and he would do anything for her. Now I'm not really sure if she reciprocated these feelings because I would like to think she didn't, but who knows? In my research, it didn't really say if she did or didn't. We just know that her family knew about him, and I guess they didn't really have a problem with him. So I'm assuming she didn't have a problem with him either, but we don't really know for sure. Or at least I don't really know for sure. If you know, please let me know. Now he would be around her any chance he could, and he would just shower her with these luxurious gifts. But it would all be short-lived because Elena was diagnosed with tuberculosis. Despite having no experience in how to treat TB, he really did try his hardest to save her and to cure this disease. He would give her a variety of these specially made tonics and elixirs and medicines. Now, despite his best efforts, Elena succumbed to the illness in October of 1931. Now, as you can imagine, Carl was heartbroken. He really was. He loved her, maybe a little too much. Like I said before, Elena's family were okay with Carl, I guess, because they let him construct an above-ground tomb at the Key West Cemetery in her memory. Now get this. This is really crazy, okay? Elena's mother let Carl keep a lock of Elena's hair. Excuse me? That should have honestly been a red flag right there, just saying. Tanzler built the tomb really for himself because he had gotten one key made and it was only for him so he could go and visit Elena. Little did her family know that Carl would be visiting her every single night. Carl would later claim that Elena's spirit would visit him at the cemetery and he would sit by her grave serenading her with his favorite Spanish song. It's a little creepy. He said that she would urge him to take her out of her grave.
Really, Carl? Did she really say that?
Well, whether she really did tell him that or not, one evening in April of 1933, Carl took Elena's body out of her grave and transported her back to his home. But you'll never guess what he used to move her. A toy wagon.
Carl, what are you doing, man?
Well, after being dead for a couple years, you could just imagine how badly decomposed she was. But that didn't seem to bother Carl. He kept her body in a makeshift lab and did everything in his power to preserve her. And here's where it gets a little graphic. First, she put together the bones with music wires and then put glass eyes in the eye sockets. As her skin decomposed, he would replace it with a cloth soaked in plaster and wax-coated fabric. Now, Carl wanted the body to have its original form, so he filled the abdomen and chest cavity using rags. He then made a wig for her using the same hair Elena's mother had given him, and he would dress her in stockings, gloves, and fine jewelry. Now, to prevent the body from smelling, he would use large amounts of perfume. Now, to try to stall the decomposition, he would also use disinfectants and preserving agents. He tried to make her look as human as possible. And once he was done, he would place her in his bed. He called it their marital bed. And yes, you could just imagine what he did to her corpse. I'm not going to go into detail because nobody needs to hear about that. But he didn't even care about the smell of decay. He was just so obsessed with her. They even had dinners and danced together. And you guys, this went on for 7 years. Somehow, rumors would begin to spread that Carl was sleeping with the corpse of his lost love. And to try to confirm these rumors, Elena's sister, Florinda, went to confront Carl. She peeked into his living room window, and to her horror, she saw him dancing with the corpse of her sister. You know, that poor family. I cannot imagine what they would be thinking. I'm sure they would be furious and horrified and disgusted and angry. Just all the emotions, I'm sure. Well, after Florinda witnessed this, she immediately called the police. And after the police discovered her body, they arrested Carl. And honestly, what happens next, I'm super surprised by. They were calling the story Carl and His Corpse Bride. They actually put Elena's body on display, and more than 6,800 people came by to see it. Like, how messed up is that? As if the poor girl's body hasn't been through enough, they go and do this kind of crap. Eventually, she would be returned to her family, and they would rebury her in Key West Cemetery, but in an unmarked grave, so that way I'm assuming no one would bother her. Soon after Carl was arrested, he was deemed unfit to stand trial and would be released. But I'll tell you what, during the trial, he confessed to bringing Elena back to life. That was his mission. He planned to launch her body into the stratosphere, hoping that the radiation would restore her back to life.
Okay, but what then, Carl? How are you going to get her back to Earth alive? I don't really think he thought this whole thing through.
Now, during Carl's trial, people actually had compassion for him. They called him a hopeless, albeit eccentric, romantic. Oh geez. His obsession would continue throughout the rest of his days, and he would end up dying alone in his home in 1952. Now, if that story doesn't mess you up, I honestly don't know what will. I mean, seriously, a hopeless romantic? The guy was crazy, in my opinion. You know, I really don't even know. I don't even know what to think about this story. I heard about this story years ago, and I knew I wanted to make a video about it, but I didn't know all the details until I started looking into it, and I was like, oh my goodness. I just thought that was really interesting that his plan was to send her into the stratosphere after she'd already been dead for how many years at this point? Good luck with that. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video nonetheless. If you did, don't forget to give me a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell because I upload every Wednesday at 10 a.m. And as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next week. Bye.